Hey everybody, welcome back to 2 Acres Evolving. Today I wanted to come into my plant room and do kind of a Q&A video. I went in and went over the last few months of videos and got a few questions that you all have asked in the comments. So I thought I would do a video and answer some of those questions. I also wanted to come in and pot up some of these Canna plants that I started a couple weeks ago. Actually yesterday it was 2 weeks since I had put them in these seed starter trays. So I wanted to show you all how these are doing. Let me go ahead and get the camera a little bit closer and I'll show you, and then I'm going to get these potted up real quick. Okay, so as you can see, I have quite a few of them that have popped up. So far, 6 of them have popped up. 2 of them are still pretty small, so I'm not going to pot those up yet. It's this one, and there's a tiny sprout on this one right here. So I've got to let that one grow up a little bit more. But these 4 right here are ready to pot up. And if I can get a good shot of this, you can see down below all the cells. We've got quite a few roots under there. So these have rooted pretty good. So if you remember from my last video, these 3 in the front, these were the ones that I scratched and then soaked in the water for about 3 weeks. And then these 6 back here were the ones where I scratched them right there in that video and then put them in the soil. I did not soak those at all. And 4 out of the 6 of these have popped up. And then 2 out of the 3 that I soaked popped up. So I'm going to do a little bit more experimenting on this, but I'm thinking that I may not have to soak those seeds in order for them to grow. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get these out of their cells and get them potted up real quick. Okay, so this was just 2 weeks of growth, and they've already got a lot of roots on there. This one don't have quite as much, but still has plenty. So down below the cell, I kind of have to squeeze it a little bit to pop it out. So now I can pot these up. And this is the potting mix I'm using. I got this from Lowe's, and this is what I've been using all season long. And I think I even used this last year too. And it does really well. Okay, so I got these 4 potted up now. I'm going to put the dome back on this and put it back under the grow light until these 2 grow in a little bit, and then I'll pop these 2 up as well. And then I'm going to put these 4 under the same grow light, and I'll show you that area right now. Okay, so I have all the plants back under the light here, and all I'm using for this grow light is this 4-foot shop light that I got at Walmart. I believe it's a 5,000 lumen, and it has the daylight bulbs in it. But this shop light was under $20. I think it was like 18 something, and it worked perfectly last year for my plants. I didn't have any problems at all with it. So I need to go, and I have like 4 or 5 of them, but I need to go invest in some more. So these will just sit under here all winter long, and I'll keep them watered and just keep an eye on them, make sure they do good. And then next year, I'll plant them in my landscape somewhere. I'll be sure to keep you all updated on how they do out here. So yesterday I went out and harvested all the rest of the seeds off of those canna plants. We're supposed to get down below freezing sometime this week, so I wanted to get all those off there before that happens. And I counted them all up, and I have 757 seeds. So I'm probably not going to be planting all of those next year. I don't know, we'll see, but I know that I want quite a few on my property, and then my parents are wanting some on their property, so I'll take some over there to plant some for them. But 757 is quite a bit, and I know that the seeds, not all of them will germinate, so I probably won't have near that many if I do decide to plant them all, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Okay, so now that I have the plants taken care of, I wanted to sit down and answer some of the questions that I got from the comment sections. I think I went back 4 months of videos and gathered a few questions from them, and I wanted to take a minute to answer some of those. I try to answer questions in the comments section, but just in case anybody else is wondering about the same questions, I like to do Q&A videos every once in a while. So the first couple of questions is going to be from that video where I started the canna seeds. The first question is, can the seeds just be stored and scratched next spring? Yes, that's what I'm going to be doing. I basically have them all stored. I put them in a closet in my spare bedroom, and I just put them up to where they won't get wet and where it doesn't get too hot or too cold. The next few questions I pulled from the video where I did the new flower bed up along my privacy fence in the front yard. This one asks, do you have to cover up your hydrangeas over the winter in your area? We don't normally, but did one winter, and we ended up with more blooms in the spring. No, we don't have to cover them up in our area. We're in a zone 7, and I think the hydrangeas are cold tolerant down to zone 4, so they're pretty winter hardy. However, since you mentioned in there that you covered yours up and you had more blooms the next spring, I may try that. Just to see what happens. I may try it on some of my hydrangeas and then leave the other ones uncovered just to test it out and see if that works in my area or not. The next one asks, once you get all that drip tubing together and where you want it, in your case your whole property in every direction, how do you get it all connected to the water supply? How many outdoor water faucets do you need? Or is that even a problem? I definitely plan on adding more water sources to my property once I get the money to do so. Right now I have 2 water spigots, one in the backyard on the side of my house, and then I have one up front. On both of those spigots that I have right now, I have a timer that has 4 different zones on them. So I can go off in 4 different directions and have 4 different zones to water at different times, so I'm not watering everything at the same time. With the drip tubing, I haven't tested it yet because I don't have all of my flower beds set up yet, but I've heard that you can only go about 500 feet and then you have to get it on a different zone. So right now I have 1 zone in the backyard hooked up for the area that my rock pond is in with the water wheel. I have that hooked up to drip tubing, and I don't have anything hooked up in the front yard yet because I have to get that water spigot replaced. Once I get all the drip tubing in all the flower beds, I'm definitely going to need more water. So I'm going to have water lines run from my main water line and then have frost-free hydrants installed. I'm hoping in every corner of my property so that I can get everything hooked up with drip tubing. However, if you just have a small yard or if you just have a specific area that you want drip tubing, a water spigot that's attached to your house will work just fine. What I would suggest is just getting a timer and a splitter. A splitter is something you can buy that you can hook the timer up to one side and then you can hook a water hose or something up to the other side, so you don't have to keep taking the timer off anytime you want to use a water hose. The next one says, I have finally seen the light on the value of using drip tubing, so I will start this next year with my spring planting. That's technically not a question, however, I thought it would be good to add because I have definitely seen a huge difference. My flower beds that I went in and watered manually versus the ones that I have on drip tubing. The ones that I had to go out and manually water, I wasn't able to do it every single day during the hot summer months, and I wasn't able to go in and do it at the same time every day. So having it consistently watered, all of my plants in those flower beds that had the drip tubing did so much better. So over the fall and this next winter, I'm definitely going to be working hard to get everything set up on drip. The next one's not a question either, but I wanted to add it in as well. It says, I'm glad I'm not the only one who has to work hard to get those connectors into the irrigation tubing. And you are correct. Those connectors are very difficult to get in. However, I kind of like that it's difficult to get those in because that means that it's going to be difficult for them to come apart. I have used a blowtorch to kind of soften the tubing up a little bit in order to get the connectors in. Or one that I have a really hard time with is the 1/4-inch tubing with the T connectors that are really small. So I definitely use like a lighter or a blowtorch to heat the tubing up a little bit, and then it makes it a lot easier to connect them, and then it hardens around it really good. So that may be helpful if you have issues getting those connectors into the tubing. The next couple of questions are going to be from the video where I added lights to the wooded area. This one says, 99% of my outside lights are solar. Lots of options out there. Yes, I have very limited electric access in my yard. I have one outlet that's on the back of my house and that's it. So I'm having to run extension cords all the way across my yard, under flower beds and stuff, to that one outlet. So I definitely plan on adding solar. I have some spotlights that are on the front of my house, and the solar thing, I just have it up on the guttering so it faces south and it works perfectly. It's been up there for 3 or 4 years now and the lights are still doing great and they're really bright. The next question is, why did you get white lights and not black? So I intended on getting black because that would blend in a whole lot better than the white did, but Lowe's was out of them. I'm pretty sure everybody would prefer black over white. So they only had the white available, so that's what I got. If I run across any that are black from now on, I'll definitely be getting that. And then I can just use those white ones somewhere else. The next couple of questions are from the video where I planted the new cabbage and broccoli and lettuce plants. The other ones didn't do so good, so I went in and planted the new ones in. This question says, how's the greenhouse doing? The greenhouse is doing really well. I think I'm going to have to move it though because I don't think it's getting enough sunlight in the area that it's in. It's got trees on the south side of it and I think those are blocking too much sun. So some of my plants suffered, but for the majority of the plants that are in there, they've done pretty good. And when Vincent and I were putting the greenhouse in, we put in T-posts in every corner and attached the greenhouse to those T-posts. And we've had some pretty high winds and that greenhouse has not moved at all. So the T-post really helped to hold that greenhouse down. And also the misters that I've put in there, those are doing really good as well. It's keeping everything watered really good. I was a little worried that the plants in there wouldn't get enough water, but so far they're doing really good. The next question says, I was wanting to know how that bonide spray worked for you. And she was referring to the vine and stump killer that I was using to kill some of the stumps that I had in one of my flower beds. It worked. However, I still had some growth coming out of the stump. So you can't just put it on there once and then expect the stump to die. When the new growth came up a little bit, I cut them back and put some more on it. And it seems like each time I do that, less and less comes back. I would say it takes 3 to 4 times to apply that vine and stump killer, and then it'll take care of it for you. The next one says, as you have already found, the drip irrigation is wonderful. It is still not a one and done, set it and forget it, but you know that the plants are way happier. And yes, you are correct. My plants did so good on the drip tubing that's why I want to get everything set up. And you are also right that it's not a lay the drip tubing down and forget about it. You still have to go out and make sure your plants are looking okay and getting plenty of water. And sometimes, I don't think I had any issues this year, but you can have issues with connectors coming out or the tubing getting cuts in it when you're planting around the tubing and stuff like that. So you definitely want to keep an eye on it every once in a while to make sure everything's running smoothly and that your plants are not suffering from a lack of water. The next question is from the video where I planted the trio of hibiscus over in that side flower bed. This one says, I don't know what zone you're in, but was wondering if the hibiscus would survive the cold weather. So my zone is a zone 7, which is down to 0 degrees. Sometimes we do get below that, but not very often. The hibiscus that I planted, I believe it was the Summerific Candy Crush variety from Proven Winners. Those are very winter hardy. Those are hardy down to zone 4, which I believe is down to -30. So those are definitely winter hardy. There are some hibiscus out there that are not winter hardy. I had a variety last year that wouldn't survive temperatures below 32 degrees, and we get below 32 degrees every year. So that one was an annual. So anytime you're buying hibiscus, just make sure to look at the tag and the zone to make sure that you're buying something that will come back every year if that's what you're wanting. The next question is from the video where I fixed the rock pathway that I have that goes through the wooded garden. This one asks, where did you purchase the edging at? The edging that I had was the, I believe it's 4 inches tall, and it's the metal green edging that I put on the edges of the rock pathway, and I got that at Lowe's. The next one says, we don't have cicadas where I live, so that was interesting to listen to. So I believe in that video I was filming while the cicadas were going crazy and it was very loud. I normally don't even pay any attention to it. I'm so used to it that I'm outside working and I don't even realize that they're doing that. When the temperatures start getting hot in the summertime, that's when they start getting loud, and it can be challenging when trying to do a video outside. And the last couple of questions that I have is from the video where I started my vegetable garden, and I started very late on that vegetable garden, but I got quite a few tomatoes, I got quite a few okra, and I got some peppers out of it, and now I'm just hoping that I get some cabbage and broccoli out of it from the plants that I planted recently. Which, so far, I've been keeping them sprayed with the BT spray, and so far the caterpillars have not gotten a hold of them, so they're still doing really good. So the first question says, in addition to your veggies, could you plant flowers in the other space? Yes, I do plan on putting flowers out there next year. I didn't have any time to do that this year. However, this winter, I plan on redoing that entire area. I don't want to give too much information because I'm going to be doing a video on it, but it's going to look completely different than it did this year, and I'm going to have spaces for flowers in that area. And I'm very excited about that. I can't wait to show you guys what I'm going to do. And the last question on that says, no labels. So I used the tag that came out of the vegetable plants and put them in the rows. I do need to up my game on the labels though. I need some kind of labels that are taller. So before next spring, I'm going to look on Amazon to see if I can find some labels, some nice labels that I can use each year so I can easily tell which plant is what. This year I didn't plant a ton of things. Next year I do plan on planting quite a few more things in that area and then on the lot next door. Keep my fingers crossed that I'm able to do that. But so I definitely will need labels, but this year I didn't plant too many varieties of things, so it wasn't very difficult to know where each thing was. But that's all the questions that I had for this video. I really enjoy doing these videos. It's kind of different than going out and doing videos outside. Kind of breaks it up a little bit. So if you all have any questions whatsoever, feel free to leave comments down below. I do try to answer all the comments that come through, but somebody else may have the same question as you. So definitely leave questions down below my videos, and I'll be sure to do Q&A videos from time to time to answer those. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.